Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the meeting of the Lowell City Council to order. Please join me in the council prayer. Dear God, today as the session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Please join me now in honoring America. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilor Martin.
Here.
Councilor Mendonça.
Here.
Councilor Mercia.
Here.
Mayor Milanazzo.
Here.
Councilor Murphy.
Here.
Councilor Broderick.
Here.
Councilor Caulfield.
Here.
Councilor Dakota.
Here.
Councilor Elliott.
Here.
I'm present.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chamber for Middlesex County Sheriff James V. DePaula. The sheriff began his 36-year career as a dedicated public safety servant, having worked for 18 years as a Malden patrolman, sergeant, and undercover narcotics detective. He served 2 terms as a state representative in the 36th Middlesex District and 14 years as the sheriff of Middlesex County, having initiated many beneficial programs to reduce the chance of relapse and recidivism. Programs that enhance life skills, communication skills, and skills vital to obtaining and sustaining his job, such as the Culinary Arts Program. Being in law enforcement for so many years, he knew the importance of having the proper equipment and generously shared many of his resources and personnel with the city of Lowell. I was honored to call him a friend. He was good to me when I needed help the most, and I will never forget that kindness. He leaves behind his wife, Addie, and his 3 daughters, Jennifer, Jamie, and Jillian, and his 3 grandchildren. Our sympathy to his family, his many friends, and his staff. May he be at peace now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mercia. Our chair recognizes Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I also would like a moment of silence in darkened chambers for Mary Pollard Mogan, wife of Dr. Patrick Mogan, former superintendent of Lowell Public Schools. Mary began her career as a teacher, teaching in Hardwick, Massachusetts. She began to teach in Chelmsford in the 1940s. While at Chelmsford High School, she coached girls basketball, and the class of 1946 dedicated the yearbook to her. Back then, when a state law, no married teachers, and Mary had to give up her job because she was married to Mr. Mogan. She resumed her teaching later in the Wilmington schools, retiring after 38 years in the classroom. While there, she earned a master's degree from Boston University, and this was long before master's degrees were common among women, especially women teachers. As a wife and partner to Dr. Patrick Mogan, they had 63 years of wedded bliss, and I was told over those 63 years they were only apart 10 times in 63 years. Mr. Mogan was a teacher also, and Mrs. Mogan supported Mr. Mogan in principal and as superintendent. As Mr. Mogan's ideas and collaborations transformed our city, Mary is a full and equal partner quietly behind the scenes to Model Cities, Lowell Adult Education Center, Human Service Corporation, the Lowell Heritage State Park, and the Lowell National Historical Park. May Mary Pollard Mogan and Sheriff DePaula rest in peace.
Thank you, Councilor Caulfield. Let us all now rise in a moment of silence in darkened chambers for those individuals as well as all Lowell residents who have passed since our last meeting. May they rest in peace. Thank you. First order of business would be to accept the minutes of the November 23rd meeting for acceptance. Motion by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Martin. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Minutes are placed on file. Under City Manager, we have communication, responses to council motions and requests. Anybody have any issues they'd like to bring forward at this time? Hearing none, motion would be in order to accept the information placed on file by Council Mercia, second by Council Mendonça. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, to vote. Next item, in City Council order pursuant to Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, concerning 266-6 thereof, entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations, Temporary Traffic Regulations, are hereby implemented for a period of 60 days. Whereas the City of Lowell desires to make temporary rules regulating traffic under actual conditions for a period of 60 days, and whereas Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, Section 266-6 thereof, entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations, authorizes the City Council to make such temporary rules for a period not to exceed 60 days. Now therefore be it ordered, adjudged, and decreed by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows. Effective immediately for a period of 60 days thereafter, the following temporary traffic regulations shall be implemented. 266-47, stop intersections is hereby amended as follows. Stop sign on Brattle Street, direction of travel east and west at intersection of Dinsmore Street. Stop sign on Brattle Street, direction of travel east and west at intersection of Douglas Road. Second reading by title. In City Council order pursuant to Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, concerning Section 266-6 thereof, entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations, Temporary Traffic Regulations, are hereby implemented for a period of 60 days. What's the wish of the council?
Move for approval.
Move approval by Council Caulfield, second by Council Broderick. Roll call.
Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça?
Yes.
Councilor Mercia?
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Murphy?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Dakota?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you. Under subcommittee reports, Chair recognizes Council Martin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. The Housing Subcommittee met earlier this evening to discuss a proposal that the city manager presented to the council a month or so ago concerning foreclosed properties, troubled properties, bank-owned properties that have become unattended to and blights on the neighborhood. And so we had a discussion about what would be involved in initiating this process of receivership. Essentially, it would be another tool that the city has for owners that were non-cooperative, that we could not get to comply and maintain their properties. One of the avenues to pursue would be the appointment of a receiver through the housing court. So we, I know all the other members of the council were present. Richard Howe, the Junior, the Register of Deeds, was present, who has been very helpful in compiling foreclosure data to the city, providing us reports. And I would like to note that he said now he did have some good news for the second month in a row. The number of foreclosure deeds recorded in Middlesex North Registry of Deeds is significantly below levels of last year. So I think that's some cautious optimism that we may be near the end of this foreclosure problem. However, there are a number of bank-owned properties that are still in our inventory of housing stock in the city. There are a number that continue to be problems for us. I think we are much better off than many other cities of our size and demographic, but nevertheless we have the problems that we have. I would like to know, and I commented at the subcommittee meeting that I'd like it to be known that the local lenders we have, the local banks and credit unions, really have not been problem owners for the city. In fact, they've done everything that they can do to be supportive of the city, as they do in many of the ventures they participate in. So we're really talking about national lenders who are under the gun, have a lot of troubled properties, and Lowell is only a little blip on their radar screen, and we're trying to make ourselves known so that we, for those banks and companies and mortgage companies that don't want to pay attention, will be more than a little blip on their radar screen and get some action. So we do understand that there are certain, when you live next door to one of these properties, if you've been a 20 or 30 or 40-year resident, that it's certainly something that impacts your quality of life probably more directly than anything else. And so the council does take it seriously. The subcommittee voted to adopt this procedure and to recommend to the manager to continue to pursue this when it's appropriate, and so that's what we're going to do. So I know others were at the meeting and may want to comment, but that's the report. It's certainly not going to be a one-size-fits-all thing, and maybe not appropriate for every property, but it is going to give us one other tool that we have to encourage reluctant property owners to take care of their property, and hopefully, when this gets used a couple of times, it'll encourage others to come along as well.
Thank you. Does the subcommittee want to bring this forward to the full council for a vote this evening? Is the recommendation by the subcommittee?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, the subcommittee voted that to encourage the manager to pursue this. So I'm not sure whether a formal vote is needed, but I think it may be an important gesture for the council, if it's so inclined, to say that we support this effort. I know members of neighborhood groups were here. Talia Dixon Mullane spoke in favor of it, and there wasn't really any opposition. I think it's something that would be encouraging to the neighborhood groups and residents that deal with this on a daily basis.
Thank you.
So I'd offer that, if the council wanted to vote to adopt the recommendation of the subcommittee. Motion
By Council Martin, second by Council Mercia, that the full council adopt the recommendation of the subcommittee. Council Mercia?
And I'm not saying that this is the end-all, know-all. I know that we have to tweak it. I understand that. We don't know what's going on down the line, but we do know that this is a very vibrant start. We have to try it anyway. We have to do what we can so that we don't have blight in neighborhoods that spread and bring the value down. And, if you won't really realize it unless you had a property like this. You lose the will to even try. Why even bother trying? And so many people do, and I think this is a good start. We're not saying it's perfect yet. We haven't been to the final person where we have a receiver that does this, and we don't know how to, we're going to work on it as we go along, but we have to start somewhere, and I think this is a good start to the process, so I'm supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the motion? Roll call.
Councilor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça?
Yes.
Councilor Mercia?
Yes.
Mayor Milanazzo?
Yes.
Councilor Murphy?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor
Yes.
Caulfield? Councilor Dakota?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
9 yeas.
Thank you. Any other subcommittee reports or announcements? Hearing none, moving on to petitions. We have one property damage claim referred to the law department by Councilor Murphy, seconded by Councilor Elliott. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed is a vote. Thank you. Under motions, we have two this evening. The first one by Councilor Martin. City Council requests the city manager have the proper agency remove all the debris along Route 110. Second by Councilor Elliott. Councilor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know this motion has come up in the past, and I think the problem is not necessarily on city-owned land, but, it's at this time of year when leaves are off the trees, it becomes noticeable again. I had someone point out to me, and I'm talking about the area really from the rotary at the Hunts Falls Bridge, kind of up to the sewer treatment plant, but on the Centerville side of that. And I had someone point out to me there's an old toilet on the side of the slope. It's been there 2 years, and then there was a couch added. So I don't know if somebody's looking to make a little makeshift living room on the side of the hill. But it's been frustrating for residents. And I know I've talked to Mr. Marchand, and I know he's had arranged with DPW and some crews to be out there and to do some cleanup. And I understand that it's not all city-owned land, but when people drive by it every day or walk by it and feel compelled, and it's been something that's existed that long, I thought it was worthy of bringing up here and to see what we can do about it.
Thank you, Councilor Martin. Does the city manager want to be heard?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an area that we've had problems with in the past, and I anticipate we'll have problems with in the future. But we did have a number of crews out there last spring, and certainly there are areas probably that were concealed by leaves at that time, and if this has been out there for a couple of years. But I know that we had the state was out there last week, and we have the DPW going out to do some more work, and we'll take care of that situation.
Councilor Elliott.
Just briefly, I know that probably most of my colleagues and myself have filed this motion, and it is a worthy motion. I know that we received a report probably 2 years ago saying that it's First Street, people go up on First Street and dump it over. I thought another option at the time, Mr. Manager, was to place cameras there, or maybe a camera was placed there at a particular point in time, because it...
We have had cameras out there in the past, and we may have cameras out there again in the future.
Probably should have spoken to you about this privately, but I think it's, it's a nuisance area and it's so visible that.
It is.
Appreciate you being on it.
Thank you. Anyone else on the motion? All those in, Council Mercia.
Thank you. I also made a motion some time ago because I was concerned about the logs that were there, the trees or whatever they were, and I was afraid that they were going to roll into the 110 Boulevard, but they were taken care of, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Thank you. Next motion by Council Caulfield. Motion, City Council requests the city manager to report on monies expended for repairs, renovations from the $700,000 bond for the Lasher Park. Second by Council Mercia. Council Caulfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think the motion speaks for itself, and I just want to report what was done at the facility. Were there any renovations? Who was the contractor? Did any city employees do any work there? So I know the manager doesn't have to report tonight, and I'll just look forward to it, so.
Manager Lynch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have a formal report for you tonight, Councilor, but I will get that for you. At this point in time, really not much has been spent. The architects are still drawing up doing the necessary work and drawing up the plans for the, as I think we indicated, it's some of the elements of this are of a size that it does require an architect coming on board, so that's taking place. The real work that takes place out there will be from about January till the beginning of the baseball season. We couldn't get in there in the fall because UMass Lowell was in there, and then so similar to last year when we did the outfield fence, we have to do it during the late winter and spring to do the work. But we will get you a report on that.
Just one question, Mr. Manager. Why are we hiring an architect?
As I indicated, some of the scope of the work out there is of such a magnitude that it's required by law that we have an architect to sign off on the plans.
I mean, the thing that I witnessed over there was the expansion joint. It was the thing that stuck out at me. But as long as they continue to use a power wash to wash down the stands, and I don't know of a caulking that's going to survive that pressure constantly. So, but I'll look forward to the report. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Anything else to come before the body this evening? Hearing that motion by Councilman Mendonça. I'm sorry, Councilor Caulfield.
Before you adjourn,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to comment on the parade, that the City Lights Parade was excellent, and I know my colleagues feel the same, that we should thank all the participants, the sponsors, and the many, many volunteers who worked behind the scenes, making sure that the parade went off on time and everything was wonderful. And we've got to thank Santa Claus too, Mr. Mayor, for being there and turning on the lights. So
Thank you.
I thought the parade was wonderful.
It was. Manager Lynch?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councilor, for the positive comments. I think that certainly the donors, those that contributed, the volunteers, the staff that worked on it did a great job. Mr. Marchand in my office has been out there counting bulbs, and making sure that all of that's being done. We're still doing work out there. The response of the business community was very positive. That a good number of people came to the city this year, and in fact, we've heard that it seemed like there were people that came to the city really for this parade for the first time, and I think that was in part of our marketing effort. We branched out a little bit this year in terms of our marketing, and the actions we've taken to bring in some of the high school bands from the region, bring new people in each year. So I think that's all very positive. Some people have noted that the The smokestack at the Wanna Lancet is not lit this year. That was a decision made by, that's a private decision by the property owner. And there were some issues I know that they were working on as to with regards to that being lit this year. And obviously the decision was made not to do that. We're hopeful that they will move back to lighting it next year. But again, that was a business decision, a variety of components to that decision, but it's that's for people wondering what happened with that. That is what happened.
Councilor Elliott.
Thank you. On an unrelated issue, we received the memo on our desk from you, Mr. Manager, tonight regarding the premiere of The Fighter. And I know maybe it was 2 years ago, a year ago, I had filed a motion to have see if there was a possibility of having a special showing just for the people of the city, and this clearly is a very, very good thing. It's for charity. The tickets are $75. Is there anything else planned between? I know there's going to be a lot of excitement between now and I guess the grand premiere, the 17th. But is there anything else in the city that's being planned, Mr. Manager, or that's out of our hands?
It is out of our hands, and this actual premiere actually was done really without city participation as well. That was done by the CVB and the delegation, and we had expressed a request to the CVB at the time that and to the that something be done with a premiere in the city. They indicated there was indication that there was going to be worked on, and again, we weren't made aware of this as it happened, but we were notified that there were some tickets that could be set aside for us on that.
No, I think that's great, really, and it's for a wonderful cause. I just didn't know everybody can't afford 75, but again, we don't have any ability to manage that. So thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn by Councilman Johnson, second by Councilor Dakota. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. We stand adjourned. Thank you.